Okay, so as usual, let's just get our posture first. So let's try to get ourselves a little taller. So we actually do this in different positions today. So just with hands on the side, can we still try to make ourselves longer through the spine? So imagine you're trying to push something up to the ceiling. You can take a breath in at the same time. Okay, as you relax, you can just kind of relax a little bit. Okay, so let's do it in different positions. So the first one is just kind of what we call neutral positions, or let's try to stand, push through your head, maybe lower your shoulders a little bit, or at least relax your shoulders. Okay, and then relax. Okay, let's try with the hands on the side. Okay, so we should still able to extend our spine, lengthen our body, even with our arms on the side. So once again, just relax in between. Okay, let's try in the front arms forward. So let's try to get ourselves taller, pushing forward head, maybe driving through the heels. Okay, and breathing out, just relax. Okay, a little harder, arms up top, one hand at a time. So let's try to get ourselves whole spine taller, maybe reaching up a little bit at the same time. Okay, and relax and come back. Okay, and let's do the same thing on the other side. So let's try to once again push through our spine, drive through the heels of the legs, reach through the arms, get ourselves taller. Okay, and relax. Okay, and then shake everything out. Okay, so let's do a little bit of head movement first. I'm gonna get a little closer so it's easier to see. Okay, so simplest is just looking kind of left and right first. Okay, so go as slowly as you need to. Okay, and for the sideways, let's do a little bit different today. So we're going to try to just kind of go down on the chin and then try to almost glide it back a little bit. Okay, so you almost imagine you're trying to almost dig a hole of your chin almost. So you're trying to don't do it too exaggerated, but try to have your chin forward and then down, and then almost you're trying to pull something back with your chin. Okay, so it's just it's kind of a glide forward and back. Okay, now let's do a little bit sideways. So this one, don't do it too hard, but let's try to have your head sideways. Okay, and can you try to almost push your head a little bit this way? Okay, so you kind of doing the same thing, but just sideways. You're gonna lean sideways and then try to push your head kind of diagonally this way, I guess. Okay, and come back. Okay, so this one will be a little bit harder to feel. Okay, let's just do our best. So let's just do 3 times. Okay, same thing on the other side. So I'm gonna go sideways and then try to push everything diagonally up. Okay, and back to center. Okay, and same thing. So what this might feel like is just you kind of tilt your head and you feel a little bit more of a stretch on the side that you're going towards, or a little bit of tension. Okay, and coming back a little bit. Okay, last one in the neck today. So we're gonna just do almost like a figure 8. So what we're gonna do is gonna tuck your chin this way or look this way. Okay, and then go turn diagonally this way. Okay, once again, don't do this too hard, but you're drawing a figure 8, like a sideways 8, with the kind of nose. And you might feel a little bit of noise or hear a little bit of noise in the neck. Okay, and let's shake everything out. Okay, so let's go back to just what we might usually do. So let's do a couple of shoulder rolls, maybe just 3 times one way, okay, and then 3 times the other way. Okay, and all the meanwhile, let's try to get ourselves still a little taller still. Okay, so while we're standing, get yourselves taller. Okay, and we're just going to draw circles beside us. Okay, so we can relax in between. Okay, arms forward. Once again, can we get ourselves a little taller first? Okay, and then circle in front of us, maybe just 3 times in each direction. Okay, and once again, you can relax in between. Okay, but once we lift the arms, let's try to get taller. Arms on the side. Okay, circle 1, 2, 3. Out of the way. 3, 2, 1. Okay, once again, you can relax in between. Okay, and once again, get taller. We're going to have our hands up top. Okay, circling 1, 2, 3. Out of the way. 3, 2, 1. Okay, last time on the other side. So once again, get tall. Reach through the ceiling. 1, 2, 3. Out of the way. 3, 2, 1. Okay, forgot one direction actually. So we're going to stand tall, reach inside. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and place my hand on the side just so I know I'm not twisting my entire body. So I want my hand to be facing forward, but I'm going to reaching inwards. Okay, out of direction. 3, 2, 1. Okay, same thing on the other side. 1, 2, 3. Other way. 3, 2, 1. Okay, shaking it out. Okay, moving on more to the elbows. Okay, we're gonna just have the elbows kind of pointing down. Okay, and then we're gonna circle our fists or our knuckles on top of it. So try to keep your elbows closer to your body. So imagine you're holding like a ball in front of you. Okay, and don't drop that ball as you push your hands out. Okay, and the other way, see if you can reach downwards and elbow stays kind of up. Okay, and then we'll have the hands up a little bit. Okay, and let's try to not move our hips. So my hips are kind of here, nothing moves. Okay, but I'm trying to glide kind of my upper back, side to side a little bit. Okay, we're gonna make it a little more complicated. We're gonna turn our hands a little bit as well as we kind of shift our upper body side to side. Okay, and then relax. Okay, and let's exaggerate it by really turning our thumbs in. Okay, and then really turning our thumbs out. Okay, so you can breathe out, round your spine a little bit maybe. Okay, and then breathe in. Try to bring our chest up to the ceiling. Okay, let's do about 3 times. So breathing out, okay, and breathing in. Okay, really try to turn through the entire hand, the arm. So including try to really reach your pinky forward. Okay, and then really try to reach your thumb back. Okay, and let's go to the wrist. Okay, so we're just going to paint like a wall with our knuckles. Okay, leading with the wrist. Okay, a little bit of a soft fist. Okay, so not like death grip. Okay, but still a solid grip. Okay, and then let's try to push it side to side. Okay, once again, we're leading with the wrist more so than the knuckles. Okay, this one's a little more difficult. See if you can circle your wrist around your knuckles almost. Okay, so it's kind of the opposite of what we might usually do, where we kind of move the knuckles around. Now we're trying to move almost the wrist around. Okay, and then let's try to just circle each finger. Okay, so maybe just a couple of times in each direction. Okay, pinky and ring finger, you can kind of move it together. How to separate those two. Okay, and then just move all your fingers. Okay, so let's do a little bit of circles of the spine. So let's circle, we're gonna separate it from the front and the back. So today, you're just gonna circle your upper body in front of us. So you go from standing kind of straight, I guess, to a little bit of circling in front of us. If you have any spine problem or your osteoporosis, don't do this too hard. Just do a very gentle, small circle. Okay, now we're going to try to do the back. So we're going to go from standing straight to almost going behind us a little bit. Okay, so we're just trying to focus on a smaller part at a time. Okay, now let's try to move the hips around. So this is the one that we usually do. So circling all the way around. Okay, everything moves a little bit. And same thing in the other direction. Okay, a little bit of a knee circle. Be careful with this one as well. So just small circle. Try to just draw a circle with the knees around. Feel free to lift your feet a little bit off. Okay, and same thing in the other direction. Okay, let's try a little bit of balance ankle, balance circle, like you can call it. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna shift your weight a little bit forward, so you can feel more pressure on your toes. Shift your weight a little to the side, to one leg, towards the heels, towards the other leg. So pretty much your body's in a straight line, okay, but you're kind of shifting your weight around the different parts of your feet. And you can change direction. Okay, so if you go too far, you're gonna topple over, so kind of see how far you can go. Okay, and let's move the hips a little more. So this one, grab a chair or a wall. And we're just, so you have something to support. So let's just do front and back first. Okay, so see if you can swing your leg back and forth. Okay, and then side to side. Okay, and then we're gonna go in a circle. So you're just gonna lift it up, bring it out to the side and back down. Okay, so drawing a circle in front of our body. Okay, and then other way, you're gonna push the leg back and step over something. So you're going from back to front. Okay, you can start off with a smaller circle, and if your hips are fine, you can see if you can draw a bigger circle. Okay, and same thing on the other side, so front to back. And then side to side. Okay, and then hip circle from the front towards kind of the back or to the side. Okay, maybe 3 times or so. Okay, and then going from the back to the front. You can think of just stepping over something. Okay, and then let's go to the knee a little bit more. So just going to stand roughly on one leg. Just try to bend and extend the knee. Okay, and same thing on the other side. And just lastly, the ankles. Okay, so today, let's actually do it in different parts as well. So we're gonna have the toes pointing kind of down, I guess you can call it. Okay, see if you can draw a circle kind of roughly in this range. Okay, so if your toes pointing down, okay, see if you can draw a circle. Okay, now I'm gonna do the opposite. Try to have your toes pointing up. Okay, and see if you can draw a circle while you have your toes pointing up. Okay, you can change direction a little bit. Okay, and you can even do it actually with the toes pointing kind of inwards. See if you can draw a couple of small circles. Okay, and then see if you can toes pointing out. Let's see if you can draw circles in this. Maybe we can call this quadrants. Okay, and then lastly, we can do a full circle all the way around. So sometimes we might actually have a direction that we're worse at, and we might not notice when we're just doing full ankle circles all the time. So we can sometimes separate it into, okay, once again, pointing down. Okay, draw circles with your toes kind of pointing more in the downwards direction. Okay, draw circles with your toes pointing kind of upwards. Okay, draw circles with your toes kind of pointing inwards. Kind of have to focus on this leg a little more. Okay, and then draw circles with your toes kind of pointing more outwards. Okay, and lastly, draw a full circle all the way around. Okay, and you can do this for other body parts as well, so not just the ankles. Okay, lastly, let's move our toes. So scratch the floor, lift just your toes off the ground, spread your toes apart. Okay, try to lift just your big toe. Okay, try to lift everything but the big toe. Okay, and then just shake everything out. Okay, so let's do our aerobic part. So let's still use our towels. We've been doing that for the past couple of weeks. Forgot to mention that to everyone. But if you have a big towel you can use, that will be good. If not, you can just use kind of your arms. Okay, so let me set a timer first. So let's aim for about 10 minutes. Okay, so let's start just marching on the spot first. Let's try to move the arms as well. Okay, at any point, feel free to slow down, speed up, but try to keep moving a little bit. Okay, so if you have a towel, let's kind of make it a little shorter first. Okay, we're gonna do the kind of halo. So you're just going to, while we're marching, let's see if you can loop the band around us almost. Okay, so try to keep the feet moving while we warm on the shoulders a little bit more. A band would work as well. Okay, and same thing in the other direction. Okay, we're going to spread out the towel a little bit more, the band. Okay, and let's just try to bring a little more overhead. Okay, and back down. Okay, if your shoulders allow for it, you can see if you can bring all the way around, but don't force anything. So if it's way too tight, too painful, don't force it. Just go to where you're at and then come back. Okay, and now let's try to get the feet a little moving a little faster. Okay, and we're just going to swing the towel or the band up and down. So now we just add a step. So when we go march, we're going to add a step out and then come back. So it looks like march. You're going to step out, come back, and march. Okay, so how far you go depends on how you feel. If your knees don't feel quite well, don't step too far. Don't drop your body weight too low. Okay, but we're going to just march, take a step out, come back. Okay, same kind of way. Okay, so let's do about 10 times. So let's call that number 2. Okay, so 3, and back to marching. 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I'm going to keep moving arms. Sometimes I forget. 7, 8, 9. Okay, last one. 10. Okay, so now we're going to add more of the arms. So pretty much the same movement. Okay, but instead of just stepping out of the feet, we're going to swing it one way. We're going to stop, come back, and then go back to marching. Okay, so before we step out, we're going to swing the towel over one shoulder, step out, do a chop, come back with the towel, and come back. Okay, so pretty much the same thing, but just with the add of the arms. Okay, so let's call this 3. Okay, and 4, 5. Okay, and 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and last one, 10. Okay, now let's just keep marching, but we move the hands a little more. Okay, so we're just going to chop in a cross pattern in front of us. If you can, you can just kind of, might be easier actually if we just pump our heels. But if you want, you can keep marching as well. We're just going to swing our towels in front like this. Okay, so let's do 10 more seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, and march for a second. Okay, so next one, we'll do it pretty much the exact same thing. We're still going to be doing a cross pattern in front. Okay, but we're going to, excuse me, add a step to it at the same time. So we're actually going to be stepping left and right. So probably take a smaller step than we did before. Okay, so it looks something like this. So cross, cross. Okay, so a little bit of coordination going on. It's actually kind of difficult, so you might go a little faster. So maybe we'll just do cross, one leg at a time. So that might be a little easier to manage. Okay, so every time you swing in one direction, you take a step out at the same time. So I think that's a little bit easier to time. Okay, so you can just even do a small step. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's do the same thing, but in the opposite direction. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and back to marching a little bit. Okay, so let's step backwards this time now. So you're just going to be marching, okay, and take a step back, and then come back and go for the marching, alternating between the two legs. Okay, so it'll be 1, back to march, okay, other leg, 2. Okay, and you can just think of a little bit tap, and then come back, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, okay, and 10. Okay, and same thing when you add, combine the cross pattern in front to stepping backwards this time. So we're still gonna do one side at a time. So we're gonna do a cross. Okay, when you're ready, you're just gonna step back. 2, 3, 4. So imagine you're chopping your leg, but you're just getting out of the way. 8, 9, 10. Okay, other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and back to just marching. Okay, so it might be a little bit of coordination. Okay, so last couple of minutes, let's get back into the hinge pattern we were working on last time. So remember, this is the one where you push the butt back and you're trying to fling the towel pretty much overhead. So we're gonna still trying to work on moving the hips a little more. Okay, but let's do about 10 seconds first where we, just any way we need to, okay, get the towel overhead and back between our legs. Okay, so 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so most people would have been using the arms a little more. So this time, let's see if you can just relax your arms, okay, but still trying to swing our arms up and the towel up as well. Okay, so you're trying to push the butt back and then push the hips forward. Okay, so let's do about 10 more seconds. 9, or maybe 10 more reps. Okay, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, and let's do it together. So once again, try to push the hips forward. It also lifting the arms at the same time. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so you feel almost a little bit of a tightness behind the back of your bum. Okay, let's march for a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna pretty much almost do the same thing. Okay, but we're gonna do it one holding towel in one hand. Okay, so with just a little bit of time, so let's give it a try. So you're just going to swing the towel up, okay, just on the side. Okay, but instead of lifting the band overhead, we're just going to stand. So just think of a little bit of coordination challenge. Okay, don't worry about what part of your body is doing. Okay, but see if you can get a towel behind as you come up. Also lift one leg. Okay, so from this angle, it looks something like this. Okay, and let's kind of play around on the other side as well. So let's try to just swing forward. Okay, so your hips should be going back and forward. Okay, and when you feel ready, see if you can, as you stand up, also lift one knee a little bit more. Okay, and let's slow down. Good job, everyone. That was 10 minutes. So hopefully your breathing did get a little bit faster, your heart rate did get a little bit faster. Okay, so let's take a mini break. I'm gonna drink enough water. In the meantime, let's get our chairs and bands ready. Okay, so the first one I'm gonna do is called a face pull exercise because we're pulling the band kind of close to the face, but don't actually pull towards the face, but actually pull it sideways. So we actually it's a combination of what we call rowing exercise and sometimes what we call an external rotation exercise. So something like this or something like that. So I'll just show it. It probably makes more sense after this. So you're gonna put the band, just the middle of the band on your foot. Maybe you just hold the band of the thumbs in the same direction as the tails of the band. And what you're gonna do is gonna roll the band back and also try to lift it kind of beside your shoulders. Okay, so from this angle, it looks something like this. Okay, but on the side, you're trying to make almost like a W shape while pulling the band back. Okay, so this one's maybe a little more tiring for the back of the shoulders. So let's aim for about 10, as we usually do 10 to 15 times. Okay, so kind of pull, 1, 2, okay, so it doesn't have to be too high. It can just be right beside the shoulders. 3, 4, 5. Okay, so just do this from this angle. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this is kind of a little bit harder variation of if we're just doing something like this. So you should probably felt it a lot more in the back of the shoulders. Okay, so next one, kind of doing the opposite. Okay, so before we're trying to open up, now we're going to try to go forward. So this one, you can either hook it behind your chair. The color doesn't show up very well, but I'm hooking in the back of the chair. You can also hook it behind your elbow pits as well. I'm actually going to do it. Actually, it might be okay. My chair is a little slippery. I'll give it a try. But what you're going to do is you're going to have your hands out, okay, and you're just going to bring it forward, okay, and try and reach as far forward as you can. Squeeze your hands together a little bit, okay, and then coming back out. So from this angle, you're just going to give someone a big hug. Okay, try to really reach forward as much as you can. Squeeze something together. Okay, apply a little bit of pressure. Okay, so imagine trying to squeeze a lemon maybe. Okay, and then coming back out. Okay, so let's call this number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So because of the angle, we're actually pulling up a little bit. So, or if you have a tall chair, it might not be the case, but you probably have felt it to the shoulders as well, maybe a little more front. For me, definitely because I need to hook it a little bit lower on my chair, so I'm actually kind of lifting almost upwards. So that would get my shoulders a little bit. Hopefully you felt it a little bit more in the front of the chest as well when you reach forward and press them together. Okay, so let's shake it out and let's get to the lower body. Actually, we still need a chair for this one. So we're gonna do a variation of the squat. So the squatting, remember, it's just kind of sitting up and down. So things to remember is still your knees need to be roughly over your toes. So you don't want your knees to be caved in like this. You want your back to be aligned. So we don't want to be like this. We don't need to be like this, the opposite either, somewhere kind of in between. So let's try practice maybe 5 times first. So just kind of going up, okay, and maybe just back down. Okay, let's just kind of practice, just get the pattern first, and then I'll show you the harder variation. Okay, so I think that was about 5 times. Okay, so now instead of pushing up with both feet, we're gonna just do it with maybe 1.5. Okay, so you probably need to have your feet just a little bit more narrow than before, so maybe hip width apart. Okay, and what you're gonna do is gonna bring one foot just a tad forward, and then just lift your heels a little bit. So I went from kind of here to kind of here. Okay, so from this angle, from my regular stance to something like this. Okay, so what we're going to do exact same thing as before. So we're just going to lean forward and up, and then try to come back down, same way. So what you should notice is that one leg have to work harder now because it's harder to push off the leg when we have to heel up a little bit. So if your knees don't feel well, don't lift it too high, maybe just a little bit up, then you can still push off with that leg. If you want to make it more difficult, bring the other leg more forward, lift the heel a little bit high up, then now you really have to push up on just that one leg. Okay, so let's do about 5 times. Probably everyone might have done 5 already, so let's switch legs. So same idea, just a hip width stance. Other leg can be just a tad, just like a toe distance forward. Okay, and try to lift that heel just a little bit off the floor, maybe even half an inch. Okay, and try to do the exact same thing to stand up and control on the way back down. Everything still applies. And once again, if you want to make it harder, you can just step a little more forward. Okay, and keep that heel off the ground. Okay, so how hard you make it is up to you. Okay, but be careful how your knees feel with this one. Okay, so it's kind of not a single leg squat, maybe like a 1.5 maybe. Okay, so let's go on to the hinge. So theme of today for the lower body, instead of lifting on both sides, I'm going to try to lift more with one side. So let's review the deadlift first. So this one, you can step just in the middle of the band. And what you're going to do is you're going to push the butt back. Okay, keep your knees not straight, just a little bit of bend. Okay, and you're just going to go up and down. So you can imagine you're holding like a laundry basket maybe, and you just have to put it kind of on the ground. So it's a tall laundry basket too, so you don't have to go all the way down, but just somewhere maybe to your knee level or so. Okay, and we're going to keep your spine straight. Okay, and try to lift it using our hip muscle. So you're thinking of driving your hips forward, and you naturally just stand up. Okay, so I'm not trying to lift with the back or lift with the arms. All I'm doing is I'm pushing the hips forward while keeping my back still, and that will get my upper body up. Okay, so this is the basic deadlift. So what we're going to do differently today is that we're just going to get the band onto one foot. Okay, and you're going to put one leg like the squat pretty much. You're going to put one leg a little further back. Okay, and you do the exact same thing. You're just putting like a bottle of detergent down, and then standing up with it. Okay, so I'm using more of one side. You should feel the stretch behind the thigh on the leg that you're using more of. So let's do about 5 times. Okay, 4 and 5. Okay, and same thing on the other side. If the single side is just too much to coordinate for you, you can just go back to the single-sided one. Okay, so same idea. Just put the band on one side, take half a foot back on the free leg, and you're just going to push your bum back. Okay, and push your bum forward. Okay, if you want to make it harder, you can of course try to bend down a little more. Okay, and so let's call this number 3, 4. You should feel a stretch on the leg that we're working. 5. So as you push your butt back, you should feel a stretch roughly around this area. Okay, and shake it out. Let me check the time. Okay, so for the balance, let's work on our single leg balance today. So this one, we're gonna have chairs kind of, let's see. Okay, so have the chair on the leg that you're standing on. Okay, so I'm standing on my right leg, so I'm gonna put it on my right side. Okay, so what you're gonna do is that you're just gonna find the amount of support you need to stay roughly balanced with a little bit of time. So see if you can hold it for at least 10 seconds first. So if I'm not stable, If I put a little more support on my fingers, does that work? If that's still quite unstable for you, if you cannot hold for 10 seconds, let's put our toes down and see if you can hold it for 10 seconds. Okay, but find a stance where you can roughly hold it for 10 seconds with a little bit of challenge. Okay, and what you're gonna do now is that you're just gonna slide the foot back. Okay, and then coming back. So kind of very similar to what we just did actually. But let's practice this a little bit more. Okay, and then let's do a couple of times where we try to lift that leg up. Okay, and back down. Okay, so the hip that's off the floor, you're just going to lift it off, rotate your body a little bit, and come back. You should feel like you're pointing your belly button out to the side and coming back. Okay, and you should feel you'll be pretty tired on this standing hip. It might even be more of an exercise, strength exercise than the one of the band. Okay, so let's try on the other side as well. So once again, find a stance or the amount of support you need to stay kind of roughly balanced. Okay, and see if you can just glide the foot along the floor backwards. Okay, and then coming back forward. Okay, see if you can use less of your hands. So it doesn't do much if you're just holding on completely. Okay, see if you can be lighter on your hands, lighter on the toe that's gliding on the floor. Okay, let's do about maybe 5 times. Okay, and after that, see if you can kind of point your belly button sideways while kind of standing on one leg. Once again, try to be lighter on the hands, okay, and lighter through the toes. Okay, and once again, the standing hip is the one that's working. Okay, so let's check everything out, and we'll repeat these 5 exercises one more time. Okay, and you can try to see if you can remember what we worked on today. So the first one is the face pull one, or you can think of that as a W pull maybe. So this is the one where you hook it, the middle of the band, on over one foot. Your thumb is in the same direction as the ends of the tail, and keeping it back straight, you're just going to pull while making a W shape with your arms. And slowly pull and slowly come back. Kind of feeling the muscles in the back of the shoulders a little more. I'm going to call this number 5, 6. So the goal is still to pull kind of backwards, not so much upwards. 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's check it out. The next one is the one where we kind of pull it forward. Okay, so hook it ideally on a taller chair. So my chair is actually a little bit low. So it would actually be better if I was hooking it onto maybe my rack here. But what we're doing is that we're just pulling the band forward, giving someone a big hug, and then squeezing the lemons of our fist, okay, and then coming back out. So something like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So the reason why we want to band a little high up, if you have access to it, is that if you're pulling kind of upwards, it becomes more shoulder exercises. Whereas if you go kind of horizontal, maybe even a little bit downwards, then we're working more on the chest muscle in front. So kind of see what you have access to, and then kind of play around with it, see how it feels different. So if you're pulling up, if you're pulling sideways, or if you're even pulling a little bit downwards. Okay, so back to the single or 1.5 leg squat. So once again, maybe a little bit hip width apart, a little more narrow hip width apart. Have one foot slightly more forward and the heels slightly off the ground. Okay, and see if you can stand up. Okay, and sit back down. Okay, so if it's too difficult, once again, get back to more of an even stance. But if you want to make it harder, you can make it more uneven. Okay, and coming up, down. Okay, so let's call this number 4. Okay, so everything still applies. So my knee should still be over my foot. Okay, even though I'm using more of one side. Let's call this number 8. 9. Okay, and 10. So this is, once again, it's just an option. So if you feel like, okay, this is way too much for my knee, or way too much pressure on one knee, go back to the regular squatting. Okay, let's do the same thing on the other side. So hip width apart, one foot slightly forward, one heel slightly up, okay, and 1. Sometimes having the hands more forward maybe make it easier to balance. 2. 3. You can also play around with the depth as well. So instead of going all the way down, you can also just do maybe a halfway or maybe even a quarter way, okay, depending on how you want to do it. The only thing is if you don't sit down, it might be a little harder on the muscle itself because it doesn't quite get the rest in between. Okay, so let's go. You can play around, see if you sit down, how that feels. Okay, versus if you go down while sitting and coming up. Okay, and shake it out. Okay, on to the single 1.5 leg deadlift. Okay, so you hooking and band over one foot. Maybe grab a little bit lower. And you're just going to put one foot, once again, slightly further back. And you're going to imagine you're picking up something heavy from the floor. Okay, and then come back. So if you want to make it harder, just grip the band a little bit tighter. Okay, or you can kind of hold on to, could be any weight really. Okay, if you want to make it harder, you can also just put one leg, the other leg further back. Okay, so that requires you really use that one foot or one hip more. And for breathing, we want to be breathing out on the hard parts of the movement. So that'll be usually going up. Okay, so maybe last time. Shake it out. And we'll just repeat on the other side. I'm just going to demonstrate with like a weight, pretty much the exact same movement. So if you have a weight like a dumbbell or like a kettlebell in my case, you can just on the side that you're holding the weight, just step back a little bit so you're not dropping the weight on your foot. Okay, and you're just going to put it down and pick it back up. Okay, so actually I should have switched sides. I was working the same side. Okay, so it looks something like this. Okay, so same principles. I'm using my hip. So my back doesn't move. Supposing my hip that's moving backwards and moving forward. Okay, and I feel a stretch kind of behind one leg. Okay, so I didn't count, but hopefully that was about 10 times. Okay, and shake it out. Okay, and the balance exercise is really just a variation of what we just did. The movement is the same, so you're actually just lifting one leg pretty much, okay, and trying to do the exact same movement, okay, but with less support. So if you're able, you can see if you can just stand on one leg while doing the exact same movement as before. But once again, if you need to, glide your foot along the floor or hold on to something lightly. Okay, and second part is just turning a hip, okay, while standing on one leg, pretty much. So this can be a strengthening exercise as well, because we probably felt pretty sore on the hips while we're doing this. Okay, and same thing on the other leg. So once again, see if you can use less hands, less feet. Okay, and try to see if you can reach towards the ground. Okay, and then stand back up. Maybe for about 5 times. Okay, second part of the movement, turn the hip out and then back in. Okay, and you should still have your knee roughly in the same place. So my knee is not wobbling over. I'm still trying to keep my knee over my standing foot as much as I can. Okay, and shake everything out. So that was the strengthening part. So now let's go on to the stretching part. Okay, so let's stretch the hip first a little bit. So let's stand behind, roughly beside the chair. We'd have a chair a little more forward. And all you're gonna do is gonna push your butt kind of backwards a little to the side until you feel a stretch around the same part of the hip. Okay, so trying to slow down your breathing a little bit. Kind of hunch around a little bit as well. So see if you can find a spot where you feel a little more tense. So that could be a little further to the side, could be a little further back. And coming back. And let's do the same thing on the other side. So once again, I'm pushing my back a little backwards, my butt a little back, and a little bit off to the side. You might feel a little bit on this side of the knee as well. Okay, or could be behind the thigh as well. So it's kind of a combination stretch. Okay, so let's stretch a little bit of the side of the thigh as well. So this one's a little more complicated. You're gonna have the chair completely off to one side. You're gonna step towards the chair. Okay, so you're gonna cross the legs and step towards what you're holding on to. Okay, and you're trying to push the hip in the same, once again, towards the chair again. And you should feel a stretch almost side of the hip and a little bit further down for some people. And feel free to have like 2 chairs even. And for some people, you might just feel it up in the hip. But there's a thick band that goes from the side of the knee all the way to the side of the hip. And let's try the same thing on the other side. So you cross your leg towards the chair and try to push the hip in the same direction while your upper body kind of lean the other way. So you're stretching the leg that is straight. That is not moving. Okay, and coming back out. Let's stretch the front of the thigh a little more. So you have two options. One is either grab your ankles, or if that's too much, put a chair behind you so you can just kind of hook your leg or hook your foot on top of the chair. In either case, see if you can, instead of bent over like this, see if you can push your hips forward. Okay, and then try to zip. Imagine you're trying to pull a zipper up, or pull the front of your pants up. Okay, until you feel a stretch in the around this part of the thigh. Okay, and just repeat on the other leg. So this time I'm going to hold on to my foot. Okay, so I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be here. I want to be, once again, that tall posture that we did in the warm up. Okay, and try to push the hips forward. Bring the front of my pants up. And let's go into sitting. Just the classic hamstring stretch. So sit on the edge of the chair, one leg out and straight, and then lean forward until you feel a stretch in the back of the thighs. Okay, now let's try to pull our toes a little bit towards us and away from us for about 5 times. Okay, and just same thing on the other leg. So just holding on first. Okay, and kind of pulling our toes in for about 5 times. Let's stretch the hips a little more. This is the one we've been doing before, so crossing our legs in front and try to pull the knee towards our chest. And same thing on the other side, pulling our knee towards our chest. Okay, so let's move our chest, our spine a little bit. This one, if you have back problems, if you have osteoporosis, maybe skip this one or do this very gently. But we're gonna try to pull one knee up. So the reason we're doing this is that we're locking down the pelvis and locking our lower back a little bit. Okay, and see if you can extend and bend the back a little bit. Okay, if you're really tight, you might feel a little bit on the hip as well, but for most people, this shouldn't be, just holding your legs shouldn't be too much of a stretch. Okay, but same idea, we're just gonna pull our leg up until you can feel like a block or a stop. That is your leg meeting the pelvis. Okay, and after that, see if you can just kind of extend the back a little bit by kind of bringing the chest up. Okay, and kind of just relax. So you don't have to pull yourself down or anything like that. See if you can just extend and then relax. So we're focusing on moving the upper back instead of a lot of times what happens is that my upper back is still kind of rounded, but I'm moving my lower portion of the spine. But when we lock it off like this, then I have no choice but to kind of extend or move a little more in the upper portion of the spine. Okay, last one. Let's talk a little too much today. Sorry about that. Let's just finish off with a shoulder stretch. And just the same thing. Okay, shake everything out. 1 minute overtime, but thank you for coming, everyone. See everyone next time. Bye-bye.